If you live in the Spring Woodlands area or are going to be visiting, there's a great opportunity to help a good cause coming up this Saturday, November the 9th. There's going to be a chili cook-off on the grounds of St. Simon and St. Jude in the Woodlands. Join us here on the program to talk more about that and more about the mission that's going to be benefiting is Beth Fruge. She's a volunteer with American Wheelchair Mission, and John Edwards with the Knights of Columbus and one of the organizers of the upcoming chili cook-off. Beth and John, thank you so much for being here in the studio. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth, I want to start with you. For people who are unfamiliar with the American Wheelchair Mission, I know it has a Texas branch here locally as well, but for people who are unfamiliar, tell us just about the group.
So the American Wheelchair Mission is a nonprofit organization. Then they provide wheelchairs for those who can't access one or simply can't afford it. And it provides the gift of mobility to anywhere from young children to teenagers to adults who have not been able to move around possibly all their entire life. Adults can go back to work, kids can go to school, little kids can even learn to play on their wheelchair. I witnessed that at one of the wheelchair distributions, and it was such a beautiful sight.
Really? So even at such a young age, they can figure it out, move around, and then start figure out what tricks they can do.
Absolutely. Two little boys who had just received wheelchairs, and I'm going to guess their ages were maybe around 4 or 5, immediately went over to the courtyard of the place where this distribution was, and they started playing chicken with each other. I mean, they were like trying to crash into each other, but it was like probably the first time they'd ever really been able to do something like that. So it was wonderful. It was a wonderful sight to see.
Yeah, I imagine it's a joy to be able to see these kids being kids, being able to play.
Yeah.
In many cases, they haven't been able to do that, in some cases, their whole lives. So tell me, where do wheelchairs often go? Is it just the United States or
Actually,
elsewhere?
they have distributed wheelchairs all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I have been to I've been to 3 different distributions in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been to a distribution here in Houston locally at the VA hospital. They've gone to the Philippines. They've gone to China. They've been to a number of places. I can't name them all, but I know that they've gone in. I want to think I read somewhere like 800 countries all over the world.
Wow, that's
and they
amazing.
provided, the gift of mobility for people who otherwise would not be able to get out and get up and move around.
It's something that many of us don't even think about, like the inability to be able to move around and how, we have resources here among us, but some people lack those resources. So that's so special that you're able to provide that for these kids and for adults too. John, I want to ask you about your involvement with all of this because I know a number of the Catholic churches in the Spring Woodlands area have supported this nonprofit before in years past. They're doing that again with this upcoming chili cook-off. You're a member of the Knights of Columbus. You've been in touch with all these folks about the decision to help out this organization, a number of other nonprofits. Why is this American Wheelchair Mission, why is it so special? Why did y'all want to help this one in particular?
For me, my first exposure was actually when I was a patient at the VA hospital years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew firsthand a lot of these veterans had difficult time getting wheelchairs, especially going through the VA.
Mm-hmm.
But I would see these yellow wheelchairs. Years later, when I became a Knight and I started hearing about it and having known people with special needs, it just touched me, especially when I heard that for every one wheelchair we give out, it's not one person affected. It's positively affecting, on average, at least 10 people.
Because it's their whole family.
It's their whole family. I mean, there's so many people. It grows from there. I mean, so many lives are affected. Like Beth was saying, when you go to Mexico, like those children, it's not just that child. It's the caretakers. It's the teachers. It's the family, the community. Or recently, our priest and some others from our council went on a wheelchair distribution to Vietnam and the Philippines. And our priest, our pastor, Father Bowie, was telling us about it. I mean, he's originally from there, but him able to go home and see these families that are so impacted by the conditions there. Here they're getting a wheelchair and the whole family is changed for the positive. And for me, it's such an honor and blessing to be able to be part of an organization that helps so many lives in so many different ways.
I remember seeing some of the pictures because you had mentioned that the wheelchairs have yellow color on them. And I remember seeing some of the photos earlier this year at the Knights of Columbus State Convention, which was held here in Houston. And it's amazing to think about all of the different distribution centers, all of the different places where the American Wheelchair Mission has gone and has been able to have the impact on all these people's lives. Beth, tell me about how important it is to be able to take photos of everything, cite everything, and to be able to explain to people tangibly what their donation is going to and how it can really benefit people's lives.
Yeah, so one of the things that the American Wheelchair Mission does is they take videos at every one of their distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to get a nice picture, if you can't go, if you want to get a good vision of what it looks like, they have hundreds of videos on their website. The Knights of Columbus are probably their main sponsors, if you will, but there's several other groups who are very involved in it as well. But you really, to get a good idea of it, you really need to look at some of the videos. I've probably got hundreds of pictures on my phone from the distributions that I've gone to. To really understand, to see the look on a mother's face when her child gets a wheelchair, and this child, before, the mother was getting this child around by literally carrying, and most disabled children are dead weight. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how to put their arms around you or their legs around your waist or anything like that. And it's a gift for the parents, it's a gift for the child, it's a gift for the entire family. They typically say that one wheelchair affects at least 10 lives. The recipient and 10 other lives, because just like John said, the mother, the father, they're trying to work. The grandparents may be keeping the kids. There may be some aunts and uncles involved. There may be other older kids helping with the younger kids. And just the gift of mobility for the child or for whoever's receiving the wheelchair makes a huge impact in everybody. And being able to see all this in action, it's God's hand doing all this wonderful work. It's God's hands touching everybody. It's wonderful.
How much does it cost per wheelchair?
So the wheelchairs, they can get them for $150. If you walk into a medical supply store or a pharmacy or what have you, that wheelchair is going to cost at least $500.
Oh, wow.
These wheelchairs are very sturdy. They also have lifelong mobility clinics that you can take them to for repair.
Mm-hmm.
That's getting really big over in Mexico at all the different CREAT centers where the wheelchairs are distributed. And so we're talking about a very good, very sturdy wheelchair. And if the wheels wear out or a little bolt comes off or whatever, there's a way you can fix that.
Mm-hmm.
So they really have a great program with these wheelchairs.
John, I want to follow up with you on that. You had mentioned that many of these wheelchairs have also gone to veterans.
Yes,
tell
that's
me,
correct.
So speaking of how sturdy those chairs need to be, they certainly need to be for some of these adults who really need to be able to get around, go to see doctors and things that they need to do.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, well, at the chili cook-off this weekend, we will have one of the wheelchairs out there.
Mm-hmm.
And as Beth was saying, these are well-built wheelchairs. And thanks to the agreements the American Wheelchair has made with manufacturers, we're able to get one for $150. And as you mentioned, the veterans, a lot of these were dealing with seniors or, unfortunately, with all the conflicts the past 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of younger men who are disabled and needing the mobility. But with trying to have active lifestyles, you're going to need a wheelchair that can sustain an active lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen them. I've seen a lot of people use them compared to what my father had when he was still with me. These are even better quality than what he was getting from his doctors and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
credit
I
to a
mean-
number of these American manufacturers who have really been working on this over the years because, like you say, the old wheelchairs, you couldn't bump into one another. If the kids started crashing into one another.
Yeah, I
it'd
was
be
overly
over.
impressed when I first got involved in the American Wheelchair Mission. Back in 21. When I first became a Knight, I got recruited to help with this. And I finally got to see one of the wheelchairs, and I recognized what it was. But seeing it and just noticing, as they mentioned, the construction, these are quality wheelchairs, much better.
Yeah,
So
because they have to be able to last a long
they
time.
got to be able to last. So, I mean, like I said, not just with the veterans or these children, or as we mentioned, like Philippines and Vietnam, that you're going to have conditions that are tougher than what we have here. These wheelchairs need to hold up, and which they do, which once again will impact so many lives, because those with the mobility issues going to have something more quality. They can still get it repaired, as you mentioned. They'll have the help they need so they can have a higher quality of life.
Very good. Beth, going back to you, tell me about how you first got involved with the American Wheelchair Mission. How'd you learn about it, and what made you want to stay active?
So I guess my first exposure to the American Wheelchair Mission would have been at any one of the number of Knights of Columbus meetings that I've been to. My husband, Terry, is the immediate past state deputy for the state of Texas. And I've been to a number of meetings and typically at the larger meetings, they will show a video. And every time I saw one of those videos, I would just cry. And, it just really touched my heart. And when my husband became state deputy, it's kind of been a tradition that the wives of the state deputy will have some sort of a charity project, an initiative of some sort to raise money. And when I was trying to decide what I was going to do, I just, all of a sudden, that aha moment, I was like, oh, yeah, I cry every time I see those videos. That's what I need to do. And that's what we did the 2 years that he was the state deputy. And when his term was coming to an end, I was like, I can't just stop. So I'm still supporting, not in quite the same way, because the new First Lady has her project, which is a wonderful pro-life project. But I am still trying to be active. I'm still, if any councils need help at a wheelchair Sunday or something like that, I'd be happy to come and help. And certainly intend to, donate whatever I can afford each year. So I intend to stay as active as I can because I think it's an absolutely beautiful, wonderful mission. I mean, I just think God's just smiling down on it.
It makes sense that even after 2 years, you're like, I can't stop right now. 2 years goes by pretty quick.
It does.
And I can imagine, as you were saying, you've been to other places to see these distribution sites. Once you start getting involved, you're like, well, I can't stop now. I'm in the middle of doing this or working on this project or in communication with somebody about getting the wheelchair. So, yeah, it takes a little while to kind of transition, I would think, to more of
it does.
Volunteer role, yeah.
It does. But yeah, I'm happy to be a volunteer. However they need me, whenever they need me, yeah, I'm still in.
I was talking with the both of you beforehand about the donations that come in specifically here in Texas and how we're very fortunate because the American Wheelchair Mission has locations, all across the country. But from what you were telling me, John, we've been very successful here among Texans, specifically who give to this particular project.
From what I understand, the numbers I've seen, especially when I got real active the past couple of years, I'd seen some of the reports, and pretty much year in, year out, Texas is at the top of the list for the money raised for the American Wheelchair Mission.
Wow. Yeah. And I guess that makes sense because, like I said, it helps so many different people from different aspects of society. It could be somebody who's elderly, like veterans, or it could help children. So I'm guessing it probably pulls on the heartstrings of a lot of people.
It pulls on the heartstrings. Like besides the international veterans, something I read recently, like even the Appalachians, prior, of course, to being devastated by the recent storm, we were going there because we have a lot of poverty there, people in need, mobility issues. So it's within the United States also. There's a great outreach, and what I've seen with, especially the Knights within Texas, Texans are some of the first to want to step up and help others.
Very good. So if people want to learn more, Beth, about the American Wheelchair Mission and figure out a little bit more about what the work that the organization does, what's the website? Where can they go and visit?
So I wrote this down before I left.
That was smart.
You do your https://, and then it's amwheelchair.org.
Okay.
There is a wealth of information on the website. There's a ton of videos. Introduce you to the main people of the American Wheelchair Mission. It was founded by Chris Lewis, who is the son of the late Jerry Lewis. Mm-hmm. And there's a ton of information on there. Lots of videos. There's a place where you can go donate if you want to. There's news. There's all kind of stuff on there. So it's a very informative website, and I encourage everybody to go take a look at it.
And John, the other good part is that a number of Knights of Columbus councils support the American Wheelchair Mission. So usually if there's a night in your group, if you're in the Spring Woodlands area, odds are you can find somebody and be like, I can connect you to the wheelchair folks. And
we've been well fortunate with my council, and a lot of the councils in my area are quite active in this, and we got people involved. We're well fortunate within our council is one of the assistant diocesan deputies, John Williams, who's also the head of the American Wheelchair Mission for our diocese, for the Galveston-Houston Archdiocese, and he's constantly reaching out to other councils and generating the excitement where a lot of councils are very active in helping this organization.
Very good. So again, we have the 12th annual Chili Cook-Off, which is going to be benefiting American Wheelchair Missions. So all the proceeds go to American Wheelchair Mission. That's going to be at St. Simon and Jude Catholic Church in the Woodlands, and that's coming up this Saturday the 9th 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Team spots and sponsorships are also available, John. I guess people need to reach out to you if they're thinking about either spot or sponsorship.
Right. Spots were pretty well full on now since that went out. Because
that's always good to have a good response, by the way.
Right. Mainly, I mean, we could probably work in a last-minute team, but like I said, it's this Saturday. Be quick.
Right.
I could probably work you in. The big thing is sponsorship. 100% of the funds we receive will go to the purchase of wheelchairs.
Mm-hmm.
You can come out, enjoy the day. It's $5 for a ticket to Sample Chili, where you can get 5 samples plus a drink. We'll have a silent auction. We have a raffle going on with some amazing prizes, such as a 55-inch screen, big screen TV, bicycles, and other great items. But the big thing is coming out and fellowshipping with everybody, cheering on these teams. But again, 100% of the money we raise will go to the American Wheelchair Mission.
Very good.
And I've set a goal for us. I don't know if we'll achieve it. I'm hoping we get a lot of people to come out or donate.
Mm-hmm.
One container is 280 wheelchairs. I'd love to see that happen, us be able to purchase a full container to send somewhere in need. Because right there, like with what we were saying, that's 2,800 lives effective in a positive way.
Yeah, that's amazing. So again, if people want to contact you, you have an email address?
Yes, it's John Edwards, JOHNEDWARDS, 7662 at sbcglobal.net.
John, repeat it one more time in case they didn't get the numbers.
Okay, yeah. John Edwards, just spell it out. It's Edwards with an S, all one word, 7662 at sbcglobal.net.
Very good. And we'll put some of that information on our Facebook page as well. We have a Facebook page, GRN:Houston, so we'll be happy to post that. I think I posted the flyer a little bit earlier too, but we'll repost that as well so people can be reminded to show up and enjoy the festivities as well. Before we go, John Edwards, I want to ask you one more question about just your involvement with the church and a number of activities that you do. You regularly host events and bring vendors in for a number of festivals. I can imagine that can be pretty tough sometimes in terms of just getting the manpower and the volunteers and all of the help. And I know often you are donating your time as well as your resources. Why do you continue to do that to benefit nonprofits, churches here in our area?
I guess it's just something I'm passionate about. I started out as a vendor with a rosary business, and I've been fortunate. A lot of people, and there's some well-known who have my rosaries. But when I would pay to be a part of these markets, I'm paying $50, $60 for a booth fee. All of it's going to the showrunner. And when we decided to put our own market, I'd already done the market for a few years for St. Edward. I was like, I would love to do this as a business, but I want one stipulation, that we're always trying to help something we believe in. Maybe that's part of, what the Knights, push so much, that the first saying in our exemplification is charity. It's just something I've become passionate about. I've been fortunate where all of our events, portionate goes 2 different charities, and I'm always trying to get new ones. We did one for Guadalupe Radio, which I hope to be able to do again in the future.
We appreciated that.
I've done one for some veterans groups such as Future Operations Base, an autism group that's local here in Houston that helps everybody all around called Autism Meets Faith. And this December, I'm doing one for Loving Choice Pregnancy Center.
Yeah,
it's just something I guess I believe I want to be able to support my family, have a great business, but I want to do it where I'm still supporting those things I believe in and promoting the Catholic faith.
Very good. And again, you go to church over at St. Edward the Confessor. I know you like the community there.
Oh, it's an amazing community. When my family and I, we were, long story which I shared a couple of years ago here, we decided to go ahead and come to the Catholic Church, which we had discussed for years. We looked around. The moment we went to St. Edward, we were welcomed with open arms. A very friendly, warm parish, which felt like family. And they became my family. It may seem like a large parish, but it's still got that tight-knit family feel, welcoming. It's just an amazing place. And, of course, you see, thanks to the great leadership we have with Father Christian Bowie and Father Thomas Joseph. And then that's when I got received into the church, became an idol. Real quick when they realized I was now part of the church. The examples of my brothers, these men, of serving the community, being part, and they're so quick to help the parish, but the community at large, they just convinced me, like, I'm in the right place with such a great council, with such a great parish that really cares about its parishioners, but the community at large.
Amen. You know, Father Christian was really friendly to me as well. I met him several months back this year, and he invited me to come out. So I'll be visiting St. Edward's this upcoming weekend with a table for the Guadalupe Radio Network. So it'll be fun to be there because I've gotten out in the spring woodlands, but I haven't been to that one in particular, or maybe only once or twice, not very often. So it'll be good to
And
be
you'll
there.
find yourself quite welcome running a lot of people. You'll be well received.
It'll be fun. Beth, you made the drive here to our studios all the way from Humble, if I'm
Yes.
thinking correctly. Where do you go to church in Humble?
St. Mary Magdalene.
Oh, very good. Yes, been there before. Nice. Another nice, fairly big parish.
Big parish, and to kind of capitalize on what John was saying, a sense of community is what drew my husband and I to it at first, and we've been there now for 35 years.
Wow.
A
That's
long
amazing.
time. It's a wonderful parish.
Yeah, and I didn't plan it this way, but again, this upcoming weekend I'll be at St. Edward the Confessor with a table for the Guadalupe Radio Network. The next weekend I'll be at St. Mary Magdalene with a table in Humble. So I did not plan it, but I will. I have this funny feeling I'll be seeing both of you again real soon. So I appreciate you guys doing it. Again, just to recap, if you're just joining us here on AM 1430, we've been promoting a cook-off, a chili cook-off, the 12th annual chili cook-off benefiting the American Wheelchair Mission. So you can show up at St. Simon and Jude Catholic Church, that's in the Woodlands, this Saturday the 9th between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Beth Fruge, volunteer with American Wheelchair Mission, and John Edwards with the Knights of Columbus. Thank you both so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you for having us.